Okay, programming 11. Let's animate some GIFs. I'm going to be starting with just this plain void setup, void draw stuff here. And I'm assuming you watched the first video that shows you how to find a GIF online and split it into its separate frame images. And hopefully you've downloaded that, and this should be your setup. So wherever your sketch is that you're doing, um, it should be in a folder and beside all of your split images. So you should have all that ready to go. And if you have that, then let's get started. Let's program. We're going to be storing all of these images in a list. So I don't want to make a separate variable for each of these things. I'm going to make a list of images and load all of these 15 images into that list. So I'm going to make an array list of p images. That's the file or the processing type for image files, and I'm going to call it GIF. And then in setup, I guess I'll put in the size command. 600 by 600 is what I'm going to use. It's not important that it's these numbers, but my GIF is square, so I'll choose a square shape, I guess. So I'll leave it up to you to decide what it is that you would like to use. And then for my array list, I still have to actually build the array list. Right now, I've just said I'm planning on making an array list that holds p images called GIF. I haven't actually built the array list so it's ready to accept images. So this is this step right here. This is me building the list. GIF equals new array list p image. Yeah, well, it's an ugly piece of code, but that's after you've done this, the list is ready to go. Build a list is what's going on there. Now, after I've built the list, I can start loading images into it. So there's a bad way to do this. You could manually load in all 15 with 15 lines of code, but you might in the future have more than 15 frames. You might have hundreds of frames. So it doesn't go very far. But I'm going to show you how to do that anyways, just to give you an idea of what this process looks like. And then we're going to convert it to a loop, which is a much more efficient way to code loading in these pictures. So here's me doing it the wrong way. Basically, oh, that's the wrong folder. Ooh, my kids are having some fun out there. Basically, you want to load in these file names. So I would do something like this. I'd say gif.add, which is how you add something to a list. And I can say load image, and then give the file name. And I'll just copy and paste the file name over. Okay. And for the file name, you have to put it in double quotes. That's called a string, by the way, and we'll be using strings a bit today. A string is just a sequence of text, and file names are strings. They're text. So I could do that, and then you'll notice there's a pattern in all of these things. The pattern looks something like this. It's always frame underscore 00 underscore delay, some numbers dot png. The next one is frame underscore 01, and then frame underscore 02, 03, 04, all that kind of stuff. So I could take this and copy and paste it, and really the only thing that's changing is this number right here, and then this number right here, and then so on. I could do this copy and pasting 15 times, and I would get it done. But again, I don't want to show you how to load this particular GIF. I want to make a solution that will load any GIF, even ones that are hundreds of frames in length, and this is just not very conducive to that. So let's write a loop instead. And what we'd like to do is in that loop, we're going to replace sort of this text with the counter variable as it goes up. So I'm going to delete these ones, and I'll just keep this one around because eventually I'll need to put that in there as well. So here's my loop. I'm going to start with a counter variable. Good old I is the number I'm going to use. It stands for index, and the different images in the list are numbered with an index number, so it seems fine. And I'll do this as long as I is less than 15. Why 15? So important to understand because your GIF might not need 15. It might need to be different. So the reason why it's 15 is because that's the number of images in my GIF. So for your GIF, you should definitely count it. Notice my last one is frame 14. That's the easiest way to find out. And it starts at 0. So if I start at 0 and go to 14, that's 15 images. So do check yours. It's possibly unlikely different. So put your number there. There's also going to be the I++, so that I can go from 0 to 1 to 2, then 3, and so on, all the way up to 14. When it gets to 15, it'll close. Now, I'm going to stick this gif.add in here. There it is. So I actually am going to load in my picture, but I don't want to load in frame 0 every time. I do want to load in frame 0 the first time, but then I want to go I++ and add in the next one, and so on. So how do you get the I in there? So here's how you don't do it. This does not work. Ugh. Why not? Well, it's because now it's going to look for the file name called frame_I_delay. And there's no such file, right? So how do I replace the I, the letter I, with the value of I, so that when it's 0, it looks for frame 0. When it's 5, it looks for frame 5, and so on. So the way you do it is like this. You're actually going to split this into separate strings. So one string is the front, and the second string is the back, and then inside of here will go the I. And in order to connect these together, you use plus signs. So you can space it out how you want. I'm going to put some spaces in there. So there it is. So basically it'll be frame underscore and then whatever the value of I is plus underscore delay blah 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 dot png. So there you go. That is basically the story of how you're going to make that happen. There's a little bit more work to it though. If I run this, we're going to see it does have an error. So let's run this and find out what that looks like. It's going to run and check out what it cannot find. It can't find frame 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all the way down to 9. It found 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 just fine, but it did not find these. And the reason is because notice that the actual file name has a leading 0. There's a leading 0 for all the ones that are less than 10. There's a leading 0, leading 0. Once we get to 10, there's no leading 0. Oh, it's so annoying. So, how are you going to solve this? One way would just be to rename the files and drop the leading 0. That is the I ain't got time for this kind of way of doing it. I mean, I don't have patience for it. It actually takes more time to go and manually edit this. And you would have to do this for every GIF, every time you want to show a new GIF. So that's a poor solution. It will work, and if you must, go ahead and do it. But the right way, here's the right way, the way that actually saves you time in the long run. What we need to do is decide, do we put in a 0 here or not? Like, sometimes you want to put in a 0 here, and sometimes you don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable called 0. And it's going to be a string variable. So in here, I'm going to make a string variable called 0. I'm going to make it nothing. And if this is all I did, then I wouldn't have changed anything. An empty string is just two quotations side by side, not a space. Nope, just two side by side quotations. This is the empty string. So it will basically add nothing to this string. But what I can do is check to see, is I less than 10? If it is, I can make it 0. So I'll just say something simple like this. If I is less than 10, then I'll say 0 equals 0. So now when I is less than 10, it will add a 0. But if it's not less than 10, then it'll go back to this. I'll just mention that the reason I'm putting the string 0 here, usually that goes up here, right? Most of my variables go up here. The reason is because every time we start the loop again, it'll reset the string back to the empty string. So this line will always happen over and over again. And that's good because then I only change it if I must, and otherwise it just stays as nothing. So now if I run it, I mean, nothing will show, but you'll see there's no error messages. And that's beautiful. If you get to that point, you're doing great. I'll just mention one last thing. Occasionally when you do the GIF splitter, there'll be some that have different numbers here. And there's no real nice, simple way to avoid that. So I would say just choose another GIF if that's happened to you. If you have some fancy GIF that has different delays, maybe just keep it simple and try a different one. I'm sure there's a solution. We can definitely come up with a solution for those, but it's not a simple one. So I'll leave it for today. Okay, so now we've loaded. We have a list containing 15 pictures, and we'd like to show them. So down here, we need to put it in the draw function. We actually draw the pictures. So just to demonstrate how that we can draw this, I can get an image out of it. So I can say pimage, whatever you want to call it, frame equals gif dot get, say 0, for example. I can get that picture, and then I can draw it on the screen. Image, frame, 0, 0, width, height, height. So if I run this, you'll see that I actually do get the first picture. And if I was to change this to 1, I'd get the second picture. I mean, they're kind of hard to tell what the difference is when you don't see them side by side. But yeah, you can get the different pictures by accessing their index. Now, what you're not going to do is write a loop. You're actually not going to use a loop. The draw function is already a loop. So there's no need to put a while loop in here. If you did put a while loop, it would draw all 15 pictures in a single frame. And that's not what we want. We want to show one picture in one frame, the next picture in the next frame, and so on. So there you go. That's the plan. So instead of always getting a specific number, we're going to get whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call this n for number. And I want to declare that variable at the top, int n equals 0. We'll start with 0. And then we'll do n plus plus. Now this will work temporarily. It will work one time. Watch what happens. I'll run it. We'll see it. It's animating. And then crunch. What happened? We got index out of bounds. So n is going from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 all the way up to 14. And then it goes to 15. But guess what? There's no number 15 in our picture because in our list. It goes from 0 to 14. So we need to say at the end, hey, if n is greater than 14, we need to start over again. N equals 0. Yeah? Yeah. So this normally does nothing when it's 0, 1, 2, 3. Those aren't greater than 14, so this doesn't happen. But when we do finally get to 15, it resets it back to 0. Ah? Yeah. And now we have our GIF. Rolling. Lovely. Lovely. So I'll just finish with one last comment, and that is, what if this is going so very fast? If you're seeing it and it's going too fast, well, you can slow this down with frame rate, I guess, would be one way to do it. So I guess I would choose over here, frame rate, and you can slow it down to, 20 frames a second or something, and you can make it like slow down more. You could actually adjust the frame rate, and it will attempt to put it down to 20. You can make it really slow if you want, or you can't really go faster than 60. Like 60 is the most you can do. I mean, your monitor might be able to support more. I don't think processing can. I'll put it at 100. Like, I don't think it'll actually achieve it. I don't think that's actually faster. I think it'll be a little choppier. I don't know. But 60 is probably where we're at. Yeah, it actually looks a little smoother. Or maybe I don't know. But you can adjust these speed of things, and you can I want to do like 5 or something. You can make it really slow if you want to. So your choice. Starts getting pretty choppy at this point. It's just not really getting that illusion working for us anymore because there's just not enough. They're not being shown at a fast enough rate to create the illusion of movement. Anyways, folks, I hope that helps. If you have questions about this, please feel free to put in your Microsoft Team. I want to call it the Discord. It's like a bad Discord. It's like a boring Discord. In the Microsoft Teams space, in the discussion channel, you could post some questions about this if it didn't work for you. It would help if you post the error message, and it would help if you maybe if you were to take a screenshot of your code or something. That would all be wonderful for me to help you as you go forward. I think a lot of the problems will be solved just by downloading a picture correctly and go from there. All right, everybody. I hope this works out well for you. We will see you later. Bye.